Who among us does not want excellence and is looking for it in his life? Hello friends, again in the channel Psychological and Social Facts. Wonderful facts as expected follow to the end to help in your future life. Who among us does not need a qualification and is looking for it in the truth of his life? This is an interest that all human souls want, and everyone has the option to recognize it, and even his journey to reach that is instinctive. Matter and the idea of God's mood for people. Greatness is a real and honorable goal that can be reached by straight ways, and the true determinant of the value of greatness is the idea of the means and techniques used to achieve this. Honest goal and honest goal raise this value, but when the goal degenerates, the plan is disturbed and its legitimacy is denied, on the grounds that one falls into what is morally and humanly forbidden, and even unconsciously enters a deceptive labyrinth. There is no limit to it and no opportunity to get out of it, and being happy with reality without aspiring to change our everyday environments remains the greatest obstacle to our recognition, especially among souls who have a lot of karma from inactivity, and their inaccurate conviction that greatness cannot be embraced by everyone, because it requires determinations. Exceptional. Also, she has powerful abilities. Assuming that we delve into the depths of man, we will find that he conveys hidden energies that appear only after the remnants of negligence and stagnation have been disposed of. From the development of qualifications in his life, greatness is not a lucky turn of events, but the product of work, hard work, penance and forgiveness. Self for this kind of perseverance is the true criterion for greatness. In the event that you cannot bear the difficulty of the street and the expense of greatness, do not start, nor burn through your time searching largely for simple and untiring ways. Anything you pass, no matter if it's yours, without going through the condition that melancholy enters you, so you give up while you are currently at the beginning of the street. Greatness lies in the capacity to saddle the conceivable outcomes accessible to you and encompassing you to sparkle in accomplishing your desires, and not to offer any chance to fizzle, regardless of whether it is rehashed, so as not to hold on to you and deter you, and consequently surrender what you yearn for. And there is a bad situation for greatness when he doesn't work with every one of his energies and doesn't attempt to foster his capacities and work on his abilities, similarly as need might arise to be continually reinforced. Your shortcomings likewise require a ton of persistence to dispose of them. This cycle can't occur all of a sudden, and you don't miss the mark on want to succeed as the need might arise to know how to utilize your abilities, so the issue lies in your absence of the right strategy to accomplish greatness, not in having the inspiration towards it. And this expects you to make the most of what you have at your best after you become more mindful of your secret capacities, that you are searching for a genuine chance to get back to you the capacity to succeed. What keeps you from being recognized is inside you. As a matter of fact, you are liable for hindering differentiation from your life and keeping it from gripping to you. This is on the grounds that you accept that you are only a customary individual, and that greatness expects you to be an individual of extremely high details, having remarkable subjective fixings, which can never be accessible in you for you to fundamentally have a portion of greatness. And such a conviction is obviously false, and its development is because of what you have laid out in your psyche. To that end you imagine that you can't conquer this extraordinary obstruction that you have set among you and greatness, so it has turned into something unimaginable in your eyes. Your gigantic possibilities, to feature your potential successfully, and an extraordinary power surges from inside you that isn't like your thought process of you, so your differentiation sparkles and stays without dusk. Furthermore, Recollect everything I will say to you well and let go of the fragmented perspective on yourself and your capacities. When you take a gander at your individual from a tight point, it won't show you the reality of what exists in you, so you blunder in depicting yourself, which might be loaded with greatness. And you make your capacities powerless against overshadowing that you become. It is restricted on the grounds that you tied it yourself, so you want to know the need to esteem yourself, since it is the most that can assist you with accomplishing greatness and make it a reality that just requires investment to be a lived reality, in addition to a wish. Selectiveness with something particular from others is definitely not a world-class matter bound to a specific gathering, since it has high abilities, and conveys a specific idea that builds the gleam and brightness. Notwithstanding this, it is critical to understand that greatness is a longing that continually develops and creates, and stays with the ordinary individual to communicate the benefits and excellencies of himself. Discussing greatness certainly requires scrutinizing the degree of one's faith in his capacity to do as such, a conviction blended in with an ability to compel to execute what he puts stock in. Basically, my work, and you're doing what you don't put stock in, will keep your work insufficient regardless of how much imagination is in it, and reality that we should know very well is that each qualification comes up short on true, powerful, viable confidence in the leader over activities and words, turns into a twisted differentiation that makes no difference and no advantage, and you, man, are the result of what you accept. With it, and anything you think and put into your sentiments, and sentiments will transform it into an energy, either negative or positive. The more you trust in your capacity to leave an unmistakable and separating engrave in what you do, the more qualification turns out to be nearer to you and among you, and in an extremely brief time frame. Reinforce your opportunity to accomplish greatness as opposed to with nothing to do deprecating yourself when you see a recognized individual and think that he has extraordinary capacities, while the justification for his differentiation lies in the great utilization of what he has in a legitimate and compelling way. So don't underrate yourself before the recognized. And you ought to realize that each person he is brought into the world with a sort of qualification inside him, yet he might pass on rapidly when he loses adequate energy, in this manner coming up short on the self-inspiration with which one becomes tested to arrive at the pinnacles of greatness, and no obstructions stop him, regardless of how rough. The person who sheds the test won't be recognized by anything. Each recognized individual holds on to areas of strength for to show what him can do with tirelessness, and will that empowers him to take advantage of his capability to the fullest degree. Drawing in towards greatness and devoting it in your life requires steadiness, regardless of whether the street prompting it is exceptionally tiring. In synopsis, he who doesn't have aspiration doesn't take a stab at greatness, and subsequently we observe that aspiration is the fuel that drives the individual towards greatness, so be aggressive and focus on his excellency to arrive at what you want, and know that greatness is a make decision of a way where there is no space for outrageous solace and rehashed inactivity, on the grounds that a way where it is important to persistently deplete one's ability, so the products of greatness ought not be gathered from inaction and living in fantasy land without difficult work and exertion, yet rather by giving the valuable and valuable of his work and time. The person without limiting the spirit, impulse, and Satan with a harness of strong iron. Greatness is an idealistic and extraordinary objective that isn't handily accomplished, and it is basically impossible to arrive at it besides by persistent work that leaves a ton of weakness, yet it has a sweet taste, as long as he doesn't lose all sense of direction in something not deserving of work and exertion, And greatness stays inside the span of all with the exception of the people who stroll in the lazy and inactive riders.
Dear friends, subscribe to my channel to support me. There is a lot of amazing information about psychology and sociology.